A title: Training Domestic Violence/Sexual Assault Staff and Volunteers on Abuse in Later Life. Ann Menard, CEO, National Resource Center on Domestic Violence.
I think it's really incumbent on domestic violence programs to provide both orientation training and ongoing support for advocates to prepare them to address the full range of circumstances that they're going to encounter. Advocates come into whether volunteer or staff advocates come in to our programs with a range of educational backgrounds, their own experiences, including experiences with older people and attitudes about older people and what their lives are like and what vulnerabilities they have, that attitudes that may actually not be helpful when trying to be responsive to someone and help someone make decisions about the abuse and violence that they might be experiencing.
Ann Turner, Elder Victim Services and Advocacy Coordinator, NCALL, End Domestic Abuse, Wisconsin.
Attending trainings can be, I think, is important because there are a lot of differences when we start looking at providing services. I mean, many of the things that advocates do are going to work with this population, and but I think increasing their awareness around the issues of elder abuse, finding out what APS does, Adult Protective Services in your community, what kind of aging services are available, what kind of transportation services might be available for older victims. So really getting clear on what's available, what kind of senior centers are available in their many communities have, most communities have senior centers, even in very rural areas. They have small little senior centers. So getting connected with them, finding out what's going on there, visiting, being a face that shows up in these places. So people start becoming aware of who you are and what you do.
I know you've done a lot of training for victim service providers and advocates. Are there any specific examples of particular kinds of training that you think would be important to try to obtain?
I think learning about mandatory reporting in their community. Are they mandatory reporting? If they are, then creating a process on how they're going to do that from their program, making sure that the elder is alerted that that process is going to begin, doing the safety planning with that elder through that process. So I think learning about some of the issues that might are pertinent for older individuals, learning about financial abuse, and exploitation, learning about neglect, learning about some of the health needs of older individuals, and maybe understanding dementia and some of the cognitive issues that may come up for older adults. So I think really learning about some of those issues that are going to be important to the survivors that they serve.
Bonnie Brandl, Director, National Clearinghouse on Abuse in Later Life, End Domestic Abuse, Wisconsin.
I think there are a number of great ways that local and state level domestic violence and sexual assault advocates can increase their awareness of domestic violence and sexual assault in later life. There are great resources online on the National Clearinghouse on Abuse in Later Life website, on the National Center on Elder Abuse website. If you start with those two, you can get almost anywhere with great links to other materials from other national, state, and local resources. There are some excellent journal articles and research that can be found that I think can raise awareness about the dynamics and strategies that can be used locally. There are statewide, local, and national trainings that can be helpful. I would encourage advocates to also think about their internal training that they're doing. If you do new staff training, are you including domestic violence in later life as part of that? Is it part of the volunteer training that you're doing? And are you inviting professionals to do cross-training? So are you bringing Adult Protective Services into your agency and in exchange going over and maybe doing a lunch and learn for their staff?
Logos appear. NCALL, www.ncall.us. Terra Nova Films, terranova.org. Funded by the U.S. Department of Justice, Office on Violence Against Women and Elder Justice Initiative. www.justice.gov/elderjustice. A disclaimer. This project was supported by grant number 2014 AXTA K050, awarded by the Office on Violence Against Women and by the Elder Justice Initiative, U.S. Department of Justice. The opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this program are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Justice, Office on Violence Against Women, or the Elder Justice Initiative.